you've got this awesome little like cowlick that is going to come out so great on the camera on you.
Don't expose me.
Can't wait. Hashtag self-conscious.
Just gonna have to write it. Write it down.
I was just thinking what I might end up doing. If I get to edit this particular video, man, I'm going to zoom in tight frame. In the beginning when that cowlick, I'm going to be like, look at this. Arrows, everything.
Circle.
Could happen. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to actually do the laughing one, but I forgot which button it was. Oh, well.
Yeah, I like the one with the intense impact, but it needs to be relevant. I don't even know which button it is.
Neither do I. I don't want to run the risk either. It has to be the right moment and we'll just take a gamble. Cool. What I actually wanted to kick things off with was something that I forgot in our last video.
Mm-hmm.
Other finds that I managed to pick up, also on one of those online comic auctions. I got Volume 1 and Volume 2.
I think you must show us the spines, man, because it doesn't translate on how thick these bad boys are. So
Deadly Class. The deluxe editions. And in the image world, a deluxe edition like this basically equals absolute. So
I mean, we can even do a quick, if you want.
Totally.
And I'll
Okay.
get on. I mean, it's a little bit bigger, but come on, it's...
Yeah, and the dust jacket counts for a lot,
Yeah,
as well. So
100%.
but it's basically the same sort of size, format, etc., etc. And I've got to be honest with you, man. Image and Dark Horse really do price these well. So it was a no-brainer for me to pick up these two. I've been wanting to read the story. These came available, and I thought, grab it right now while you can. So it's like just more oversized, absolute-y type things that are going to go on my shelf. I don't know where.
Well, you did get a new bookshelf just today, so
2 new bookshelves.
this makes sense after we saw your last haul.
Yes. So, it's going to be one of those mornings on a weekend where I'm probably just going to reorganize everything and try and have all Marvel stuff on sort of one level flowing, all DC stuff, possibly these on another shelf given the sizing and stuff. I'll fiddle, I'll make it work. I think, another thing that I did want to talk about that we didn't get to a couple episodes ago was something that happened to me, I want to say a week or 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
As you know, I'm not just into the comics, the action figures. I think geekery, it's one of those curses. Once you get onto collecting something, that bug bites you. And all the way back in high school, it started out, me and my good buddy Roy, RJ Benjamin, we got into collecting Star Trek cards. It was before Magic, before Pokemon and all that. It was one of those collectible card games where the way it would work out, you would put down certain cards that were mission cards. You'd go to certain planets or parts of space and you'd have to accomplish certain missions for points. Eventually the person who ends with 100 points, I think, is how you finish the game. First one to 100 wins. And certain missions have certain points attached to them. In order to complete missions, you have to have certain skill sets. So you'd build up a crew. You get yourself a ship, you build up a crew, and, guys like Captain Picard or Captain Kirk generally have leadership or diplomacy or skills like that. Guys like Data and Spock would have science-type orientated skills like astrometrics or nuclear physics or whatever it is. And then on those particular missions, it'll tell you the requirements. And if you have that in your crew, take your ship there, you get that card, you complete that mission, and you get those points.
Oh, cool.
You can also attack each other along the way. You can have more than one ship going if you want to. It was a very cool game at the time. It had its flaws, but very cool. But I mostly got into it at one point now to just try and have as many of the characters, the cards, etc. And I think I've got all the different enterprises, multiple different Borg cubes, and all the different characters that I like, and different versions of all the different characters, etc., etc. that sparked my interest when it started, when it came out in the Pokemon trading card game, when it happened. Originally the Nintendo game led into the TV show that was playing daily basis. And like typical manga type TV shows like Dragon Ball Z and whatever, it was one of those you could literally not watch a week's worth of show, come back and, oh, so they're still in the same city, the same thing happening. This particular Pokemon's evolved into 3 levels now, what. But I kind of got into it through Roy, but mostly he came the one day, I think he got the game first, the card game. Sat down, we played it, and we actually enjoyed it. It was a very simple mechanism to it. Literally you get some Pokemon, he gets some Pokemon. First one to reach a certain score, or in this case there were prize cards, first one to get all their prize cards wins. And you would get a prize card by knocking out the other person's Pokemon. Simple mechanism. And kind of got into it, kind of got out to it, kind of got in and out. I'm very fortunate that I've got a lot of the original cards. Original Charizards, Blastoises, etc. Cards that are worth apparently $2,000-$3,000 on the market, etc.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got all these. Close to mint condition because I hardly ever played with those particular characters. And the ones that I do play a lot with, the cards they're used, you can see that, but it's fine for what I've got them for. And every now and again, on some of the groups, I plug in to see what's happening, what some of the characters' powers are, attributes. I kind of look at some of them and think, if I had to ever go back into it and reconstruct decks, would I use that? Wouldn't I use that? Is that card valuable to me or not? And recently, there was a girl that was selling some cards that she wanted to get rid of, and a lot of the cards she had, I was looking at just high-level glance from the pictures, and I was like, wow, I like these. Like, I could definitely make use of this, that one's power ability or that one's strength. Definitely I could incorporate those into my deck. So I genuinely just wanted to get them, and she was giving them at a very decent price. The deal was almost done, and to her credit, and I forget the name, and I will give a shout out, I'll put it online, we'll tag her in videos, etc. But she came back to me and she said, look, I'm really sorry to have to do this, but I can't sell the cards to you. And my initial thought was, why? Has someone come and offered you a better price? Can we talk? Can we negotiate? And again, to her credit, it's so sweet in how she approached it. Difficult topic to bridge, but she said, they're fake cards.
Hectic.
Yeah. And I was like, well, what do you mean fake? How do you know? And she said, she was just flipping through them off back of my interest. And she noticed that, especially on the backs of the cards, that there was a large discrepancy between... They looked the same, but the coloring on some of them was horrendously different to some of the others. She went on YouTube, saw a few videos on counterfeit cards, and she said, yeah, looking at those videos, she knows, hand on heart, she's got a small handful of legitimate, genuine cards, and unfortunately, the vast majority of what she has are counterfeits, fakes.
Man, it's not cool.
It isn't, and she could say that when she put them together, she could even see that the counterfeits were slightly smaller. If she just looked at them full-on dimension-wise, slightly smaller than the proper authentic cards. The cuts on them were slightly different. The colouring on the backs, vastly different. All of that. So, shame. I really did feel for her, but I was like, well, yeah, I don't want counterfeit cards. So,
100%, yeah.
So it was something that I did want to bring up and discuss, and just to let viewers know out there, there's counterfeit toys and action figures going around, but you definitely get to see it when you at flea markets, where you go into some of these China malls. You look at this action figure there, and you can just see the build quality, the plastic quality.
Even like it'll say like Superman and have a Batman figure in the thing. Exactly. Like they don't even try.
Yeah, I mean, our buddy Keegan was at one of these malls the other day, and he sent us a couple snapshots of spelling was wrong name on the character, just all of that kind of stuff off. And you see that, and you go, okay, fine, cheap knockoff. I don't condone or support it, but I do also understand, if me, a collector, if I had a little kid, or I've had it before with dating some girls with their younger kids, they see my collection and they instantly want to play with it and touch it. I would go to whatever these places are, get a cheap version of a Superman, a Batman, or whatever, and be like, there, play with that.
Yeah.
If my ones over there inspire you, great. Here are your own ones that you can play, break, snap the arms, do whatever. If they are broken or damaged, we can replace them quite easily. So I do kind of understand that. But at the same time, in that Pokemon world. It's not cool to find out that there are guys going out there, and unfortunately with scanner quality nowadays, print quality, you can get away with some pretty...
It's interesting you bring that up, man, because there has been, it's rare cases, and this favors the non-slab guy world, like you guys like you that don't like CGC, but there has been fraudulent cases where guys have managed to slightly open up the case, pull the Mylar out, and swap out the comic. And it's this whole, and that's why you'll see the slabs changing, because they're trying to
make it more tamper-proof, I guess?
And you know, and sometimes a lot of people are like, oh, they don't like the labels or whatever, but they've got to understand these companies are trying to adapt, you know, and it has been rare cases. And like, imagine you, if you can for a second, picture being a slab guy, you send this prize book and it comes back and they give you two options. They can slab it as a fake comic and label it as a fake, or just send it back to you and you've had to ship it there and everything, and you didn't know.
100%. Again, if you're in America, not so much of a burden to you, but us internationally paying the import export one way and back, etc. Yeah, man, it's
painful. And
dude, it affects someone like me who isn't a slab guy, because you know, you've had it on a few occasions where you've been trying to find certain books for me, we come across decently priced ones on eBay, and we both go, look, it looks decent, let's just go with it. We don't know if it is 100% legitimate, run the risk of it possibly being a fake, a forgery. If I do have in my collection, almost like ignorance is bliss for me right now.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm just, even if the signatures are fake, for me it's like, it looked like an Alan Moore to me. I'm happy with it being that it's in my mind it's Alan Moore. I'm going with that.
I think there is a distinct, you know, some people might be rolling their eyes at you now, but I think there is you know, there are guys, and I'm not going to gun anyone, but there are guys that buy books to flip books, and they very much in that investment market.
Yeah.
And that would be, but you have, to my knowledge, no intention of ever selling those books.
No.
So it's not going to hurt anyone else, you know. So
it's definitely not. The only person, kicked something under here. The only person I can potentially see it may affect or hurt one day is when I'm old and passed on, and my collection gets passed down to inheritant family members or whomever ends up getting them.
Yeah.
If they decide one day that they want to sell it on, they might get the surprise. Like I say, me, and I'm by no means a grading expert, but everything that I believe that I've purchased over time is legit. It looks good. All my research points me to the fact, when I look at publishing dates and quality of paper, so 99% confident that all of my stuff is 100% great. I say that because, you know, again, going back to that point, print quality, what guys can do with scanners and printers today, paper quality, what they can do, they can even fade paper quality to make it match what stuff from the 70s would look like in terms of its print on newspaper.
It's
recycled.
Interesting. There's two stories that I want to bring up, but man, it's such comic book 101 that there's a specific, I can't think who it is, but it's in the leagues of Jack Kirby. It might even be Jack Kirby. I can't remember who, but one of those big guys. And there's like these 2 or 3 books floating around. Now, for those of you who don't know, you get CGC and CBS yellow label, which means the company were there. They witnessed the signing happening.
Yes.
And it was this book, and it had a witness signature, CGC, in there, but he had passed away before CGC had even opened as a company.
Wow.
So any person that was on the ball was like, that's fake, dude. And they got busted. But again, it's these rare stories where a new collector would have
been one of those CGC labels that it's not witnessed, it's verified based on...
Yeah, but that's a different color, dude. This was a witnessed... and that's how they knew it was
yellow
fake.
Is witnessed.
Yeah, yellow is witnessed in both companies. And then non-witnessed is, I think in CBCS it's red, that I could be stood to correction, and CGC it's green.
Okay. So in that particular example, it should have been a green label.
Yeah.
That person verifying that it was so-and-so's signature. But in this case, yellow, fake.
Yeah, and so they got busted, which is... I mean, that's insane. And there's the other example, and this is non-grading, but I mean, and again, the reason I bring this up, because I've been guilty of this, especially when guys are buying for collecting, they'll buy a book and you're getting My Precious in your hands. You don't want to take it out. You want to keep it in its great condition, even if it's a raw book.
Sure.
And I forget the cover. I'll stick it up. It was a Harley Quinn cover. She's in a straight jacket lying down. And it's a really famous variant that has held its value. It's incredibly expensive.
Okay.
And it was one of these American stories in these cons, and the guy bought a book, got the deal of a lifetime, and for some weird reason he decided he wanted to open this book, and as he took it, he took that out the plastic, someone had scanned, as you said, scanners are so good, just a piece of paper in front of some random comic.
Wow. Yeah, again, and if you know what you're doing and you size it right, you slip it in properly, yeah, man, who's going to be the wiser? And that is genuinely scary. Look, in that instance, a lot easier to pull that kind of a fake off. But I remember a couple years back, there was a whole article circulating where we found someone who was trying to sell Incredible Hulk 180 or 181.
It was a 181, I think.
A 181, and it was verified as being a fake, but everything down to this guy had gone from page 1 to the last page, the ads in it, the back, even the coupon, everything, recreated it, printed it, sized, stapled, the whole 9 yards. I think eventually it was something like the staples were too good or something like that to have been that particular. I can't remember, but just looking at those photos of it, me personally, at first glance, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. And I think on that note, actually making our case for us is both Marvel and DC, more on the Marvel side now, are starting to make those what they call facsimile editions, where Hulk 181 just looks exactly like it. There's just no way.
Yeah, it's just the price. It's a dollar comic instead of cents or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I don't even know what inside, if there's the publishing date might be different.
I haven't checked that. I just know on the cover you can see it's like a dollar comic or something, or $3 instead of the
however many
couple
cents it was back then. Okay.
That's like literally the only difference. And obviously it's new paper. It's not that old paper.
Correct. Yeah. But a lot of guys see that at first value and they think, oh my God, I need to snap this up right now. And there are some guys, sadly, in the industry who are going, I'm going to sell this. I'm going to mark this thing up. Not too crazy, but certainly elevated. So someone sees this and they go, oh, this is a deal of a lifetime. I'm actually getting this for a steal from the person.
So that's used New Mutants 98 as an example. First appearance of Deadpool. And then there'll be a reprint. And they'll be like, and they don't even put the word facsimile in or reprint. They just say first appearance of Deadpool. So someone's like, what? This is amazing condition. And look.
At that price, look at it. Yeah.
I understand, do your homework. That's something you have notoriously said. But as a new collector, I do think it feels a little bit dishonest, where they should at least put in facsimile, because even if people don't know what facsimile means, they'll go Google it and they'll be like, okay.
Totally.
And I think there's a really cool relevance for those comics, because for various reasons, if you never got to see the first appearance, and someone like me, when I still am into slabs, but when I was like narrow-mindedly only into slabs, I got Hulk 180 and I still haven't been able to open the book and actually physically see the first appearance of Wolverine. Look, but if I get a facsimile, I can actually read the story now, like...
Where I'm a fan, and I'm okay with it, is if they do it under, like, the True Believers, or DC has a different name for theirs, but it says it's True Believers or whatever, and it's just a reprint of that classic comic.
For those who don't know, it's like a border. We'll put a picture around a special border around the book where it's got the original cover, but it's got a clear... border that's stating that it's a kind of a reprint.
Exactly. And in that instance, I'm totally okay with that, because again, it takes out all doubt from somebody's mind. They see that there, they know it's a reprint of this classic story, and like you say, I might own that thing that I don't want to open and reread, be it because it's from the 70s, the 60s, the 50s,
you're just scared you might tear it, or a piece of tape might get caught on it.
Or, in your example, it's slabbed. It's locked in this casing. I don't want to damage the casing to get it out. Leave it there. I want this reprint so I can actually flip through that thing and see what it's all about.
And a lot of people aren't as brave as... there was that fan on Kayfabe that said, let's set it free, and they cracked open. And we've got a guy locally that we actually met today. His name's Dean. And what he's been doing is cracking open... slab comics, checking the graders notes and pressing them and stuff and seeing what he could help, and they resend it back for a better grade, which is...
That's great, but geez, that's costly.
And imagine it backfires on you.
It comes back lower.
The grader had a bad day that day. His girlfriend broke up with him, and he's like, I'm giving this guy an 8.5, and it was like a 9.
See, that's still... again, I don't know how they do these things, but I've always been a fan of... If I was going to do that, I'd have at least 3 experienced graders, each grading the thing in different intervals, and then putting their notes together. All of us agree it's You said 9, I say 9.1, he says 8.9. Great. The average is 9. That's what the book gets.
Can I be honest with you, man? And this is just an opinion. I think it started out that way.
Okay.
But because it became slabbing stuff became almost like the 90s. It's this overboard. They've gotten in so much books I don't think they can handle, and that which has also spawned other companies.
Sure.
So now there's a market. They've
so.
had to find a way to streamline it, and obviously they've put some goals in place and some set rules. But I think if you guys have even gone now, these are guys that are like, I'm going to call them CGC whores. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but guys that literally they have everything CGC. Even the book has no like significance. What some of the guys do in the States is they'll purposely get their books. It doesn't happen in our country, but in the States, you have like a turnaround thing where you get to go to CGC and you get your book CGC on the spot, especially with signatures. A lot of more practical ones, your book will get witnessed, but it'll get sent away and you get it a couple of months sent to you. But they have on the spot thing, and guys will purposely take their books there because they know the graders are in a hurry, and they tend to grade higher because they're in such a hurry because they'll miss a crease or miss a spine tick, and they get higher grades like that. It's rare, but apparently it's like these guys are like working out the science to all of this. And
again, for me, that all just screams
defeats the point.
It screams of a speculator market gone horribly wrong in a way for me.
Yeah.
On that same topic, though, there's also a whole group of guys out there that are saying, you know, I've got this comic, be it an X-Men #1 as an example. You know,
you're talking about volume 1 or you're talking about 1992 print?
I'm saying 1992 print.
Okay.
Large, great, biggest selling comic of all time. And some guys got it, slabbed it, CGC'd it at 9 point, God knows whatever. And guys are advertising to sell it to people. Oh, I'll sell it to you for $2,000 or whatever the case might be. And then you get guys that are going, okay, so this guy on eBay is selling it for this price. This guy on eBay is selling it for that price. Cool. I don't even have it slabbed. I've got the raw copy, but I'm going to show people, look, check on eBay. This is what this comic goes for. Again, speaking to the ill-advised, the ill-informed, the newbie in the community who's interested, who's passionate, they want to get started on comics. And I'll be honest with you, X-Men #1 is not a bad one to start on. It's awesome.
100%, yeah.
I see this comic, the guy's telling me, geez, look here, online, it's a couple $1,000 worth of comic, but buddy, for you, I'll do it at $800 or something. Now, if anyone there who knows an X-Men #1, most people can pick it up for sub $100 if you know
especially if you find it in a bargain bin because it's such a highly printed comic.
Correct. 8 million copies of that damn thing circulating. So if you do your homework and you look around, you can pick it up for $30 to $50 if you're sharp, smart, whatever the case might be. Now you're new, you don't know anything. There's this guy who spots you, shark, shall we say, blood in the water, and he goes, great, I'm going to get this noob and I'm going to show him this thing could be worth so many thousands of rands if it's a 9.8 CGC, whatever the case might be. This guy doesn't know any better, and you've presented him with a comic to him. It looks like it's in good nick. He doesn't know that it's not CGC graded. Great, I'll part for it. Yeah, here's my $800 or something. Only to discover down the line, from as he gets in the community, as he gets to know people, this guy ripped me off.
Yeah, it's actually sparked quite a cool thought in my mind, and I think we might actually have to consider doing a whole video on it at some point, a continuation on this. But I like that we collect a lot of the same kind of stuff, but also we're very different in some ways, you know.
And I like a lot more porn than you do.
But I think having
DNA comics, baby.
Having said that, we can both bring things to the table, no matter how people feel out there, whether you're a slab collector or not, whether you're a hype or whatever. If you collect for reading, I think there are some baseline things that I think you and I can think through, and especially for newbies out there that they can watch and just to be careful for. And I mean, you've mentioned one big one. We might have to
restate it
and talk about that, because I mean, there's just so many topics coming to my mind, and I know, I think we'll run out of time on this video if I keep. So I do think it is especially for us to think through, and to anyone out there who is already a collector, I know it might seem like obvious stuff to you, but there's a lot of guys out there that are just getting into it. Have just watched Endgame and they've just started collecting. And
they've just watched the Umbrella Academy on Netflix. It's there and they're loving the show. Oh shit, here are the comic books. And I mean, I think the first appearance of all those characters was in a free comic book. It came out back in the 90s or something, free comic book day. And now that thing's stupidly valuable, you know, and you could have someone there trying to rip you off with an issue number 1, telling you it's this, it's that, blah, blah, blah. You haven't done your homework. You don't know any better. Get ripped off.
Yeah, and I want to preference that. I mean, I think you and I, this is where we agree. It still comes down to and it'll be the sort of moral of the story, if you want to call it that. Sure. It'll always be whatever makes you happy. But there are different people that collect for different reasons, and I think it'll be cool to touch on.
I agree, and I think if I have to expand on your thought, I mean, whatever makes you happy. If I had an X-Men number 1, I'm a new guy in the community. It's having that makes me happy. Looking at it brings joy to me, and then I found out, however long down the line, that I got ripped off on that. That would very quickly turn that happiness into resentment, disdain, and unnecessarily so, unfairly so.
And it's you know, like something that just shoots into my mind as soon as you say that. It is that happens where, let's use X-Men 1 because you've used it in his example. Yeah. The guy, it's a young dude getting into it, and he hears that it can be worth, he's been sold this investment thing, and his parents maybe told him he should start growing up investing, and he goes, what's something that I enjoy and it can be worth something. Sure. It feels grown up for doing this. And then let's say, for instance, 2 years down the line, he hits through hard times. Yeah. And then he puts it up on our local Facebook groups, and he even puts it at the price he paid for it. And some, like, let's say he puts it up at the $800 he paid. Yeah. And one of the big buyers that buy and flip stuff go, dude, I'll give you $200 and I'm doing you a favor. And he goes, no. And he climbs on a high horse because he paid this, and and it was a really good, and then that's where what you said comes through, and he finds out, and then he goes, for the first time, really does his homework and goes, wow, I was ripped off. And now he's going to go all the way back to that buyer and be like, seller, and be like, you ripped me off, you bastard. And
sure, if you can even get back to the seller, sometimes it's almost like two ships in the night. I know so many people that I've met once on an exchange of a comic, and I've never spoken to them again.
But the problem is, and then it comes back to, you said this plenty of times, unfortunately the seller's going to go, but you could always say, no, I gave you this price, you had the opportunity, you said do your homework, willing buyer, willing seller. True. And I understand people are new in the game and stuff, but it's tricky, man.
I like where you're ending that off on is do your homework. Just do some research, even talk to people in the community. On those posts, put a comment there, engage with people. Guys, I'm new. Yes, no, what is something like this worth? I like to believe that by and large the community as a whole would be this is what it's worth, dude. Private message him, do whatever. I don't know.
So, if you liked what Mark and I were talking about here, or just like our content in general,
please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more videos.
And do us a favor and find us on the social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
See you in the next video.